My name is Charles Ochichi. I'm the Executive Director of Enterprise Uganda. Enterprise Uganda was started in 2001 with a mission of creating dynamic, successful entrepreneurs. One would be asking, why start such an institution when Uganda has had a history of starting enterprises and the country was known for being the most enterprising country in terms of starting businesses. We have always been rated among the top 3. The challenge was, even when Ugandans were having a high appetite to start businesses, they were not able to sustain those businesses in the market. And meaningful businesses are those that deliver the following 4 things. Number 1, jobs. Number 2, they create a competitive, efficient economy because of competitive value chains. 3, improve the deepening of our financial sector. But 4, also improve the generation of foreign exchange for the country. If your enterprises are started and they quickly die, these benefits do not accrue. So the government of Uganda said, but we did privatization. We said, let us remove government from business. Let us give business to an individual, to a person who now wants to earn a profit and therefore run it more efficiently. What was then the challenge of seeing Ugandans who bought the hotels from government, who bought factories from government, who bought many other assets and took over many economic activities that government was in charge of, and they failed to run them? That debate resulted in the government of Uganda, through the Minister of Finance, to have a conversation with a UN agency called UNDP. UNDP said, we hear you and we do appreciate what you are saying. It is not just sufficient to give an opportunity for somebody to take over what government used to do. Oh, this is a hotel we used to run in Tororo. Now we are privatized, let's give somebody from Tororo to run it and they will do it better. It's not automatic. You can get the assets, you can get those resources, the market will also be there, but you will not be necessarily competent to run a big business entity like such a hotel. So the UNDP said, we have come up with a product that is being launched by our sister agency in Geneva, called United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, in short, UNCTAD. UNCTAD was given a franchise of an enterprise development model called Empretec. Empretec was packaged after a global research done by Harvard University, which said that across the globe, it is possible to create an entrepreneur, but an entrepreneur who has certain kind of standard cross-cutting skills. Because these cross-cutting skills were confirmed by looking at individuals who were successful in different parts of the globe, in Africa and in other continents. They discovered there were some cross-cutting 10 behavioral traits, and Harvard University said, this is interesting. If these traits are existing in every successful entrepreneur, irrespective where they are, the next question is, can these traits be transferred? Because it can be, you can say, well, okay, these are the traits. You need to be risk-taking, opportunity-seeking, a good planner, and networking, goal-setting, and all those were good things. But then somebody was then asking, are these things born with these individuals? You know, there's a big debate which says, are entrepreneurs born? Are they nurtured? My answer is always very clear. If they were born, how come long-standing great entrepreneurs Uganda used to have were successful for 10, 15, 30 years? As they were at their peak, they collapsed. We have had people who were number 1 in different sectors in this economy. Somebody was a number 1 in importing and selling electrical items. Did a great job. When it was at its peak, the enterprise has collapsed. But the sector has become bigger. So entrepreneurs can be bought, and it is indeed possible to build entrepreneurs. So I decided, the study now say that because these people can be created and nurtured, let us then package a product for installing Empretec centers or enterprise development centers across the globe. That is the historical perspective of the history and the germination of Enterprise Uganda in this country. The Minister of Finance, together with the United Nations Development Program, decided to bring earlier centers like Enterprise Uganda in Africa to come and install Enterprise Uganda. So we were installed with the assistance of Enterprise Ghana and Enterprise Zimbabwe, also with support from Enterprise Ethiopia. So that's how Enterprise Uganda got started in 2001. Now, when Enterprise Uganda got started, the mandate was, can you now bring these traits that have been seen to be effective in creating what we call enduring, lasting entrepreneurs? So we started the game of building and training and nurturing entrepreneurs in 2001. When we did that thing, the country was saying, oh, Chichi, is it really possible that anybody can be shaped, nurtured, mentored, and they become great entrepreneurs? We told them, what we are bringing here is an international best practice, a model that has been tested across the globe. The United States is where it is because this model works even there. It is an international enterprise development solution. So when the debate was over and Enterprise Uganda was installed in 2001, the Minister of Finance became the hosting arm of government for Enterprise Uganda. And for 3 years, we were a project of government. And then later, we were created as a foundation with a mandate to have a private sector approach to enterprise development. You cannot be operating like a typical civil service, and your mandate is to create vibrant, strong entrepreneurs. So Enterprise Uganda was encouraged to form a foundation where government is represented by Minister of Finance and Bank of Uganda as owners. But within this public-private sector partnership, we've got Barclays, which is now ABSA, East African Development Bank, and United Nations Development Program as partners to champion the running of the governance aspects of Enterprise Uganda. So where are we now? Or what do we do in detail? One, we have come up with products that run as follows. The entry product, which is a 5-day training product, is a product where we give people who come to Enterprise Uganda the mindset, behavioral traits on somebody who wants to start an enterprise. And we eliminate all the fears to do with, where do I get capital? Because we teach you the 7 sources of capital. Number 7 is going for a loan. Number 3 is looking for a grant. But the other 5 are within your reach. Equity is capital. And many of the people who are listening to or watching this program might just say, oh, but Ochichi, equity means you have some resources, some cash. Most important as an equity aspect is your personal effort, your mindset, your commitment. So we teach you to generate your energy from that. But then the moment you do that, you now begin to have what we call profits. Reinvested profits is another second source of capital. The other one is a supplier's credit. Advance from customers, idle assets, land, and all those are capital. But we teach all those in a 5-day training. Now, that is our seedbed for starting entrepreneurs in this country. How has that one gone? We now have no less than 100,000 Ugandans who have gone through that program. And I will be, as I continue talking, illustrating some of the impact stories of some of these interventions. But the product number 2 is, once you have gone through this powerful mindset explosive program that makes you take off the way you are, we now tell you, you came in as an individual, you are going to start an enterprise. We want now to take you to that high-level product called the Empretec Entrepreneurship Workshop, a 5-day international product which we run at international standards. And we're given the content, and the content is controlled by UNCTAD. Now, when we take you through that, what we are preparing you for is to enable you run your business now as a legal entity. And that takes us to what we call separating the person from the business. What does that mean? You bring in the governance aspects. You bring in all the aspects that deal with the 5 pillars of running a business. Human resources, there must be manual. Operations, production, the way you run your hotel, the way you run your farm, the way you run your bus, the way you run your manufacturing plant, there must be manual. Number 3, marketing and customer care, the way you promote your enterprise, the way you encounter competition, there must be a manual. We've got the aspect of leadership and governance of an enterprise itself. How do you bring the legal aspects into the game? How does technology come in? And then, of course, finally, we have got the 5th pillar, which is the pillar of finance. The various ways of running and packaging resources for your enterprise. So after we have taken you through the mass introductory program that makes you eager and fit to go and run an enterprise, we lift you to this visionary person now, who is now running an independent, separate legal entity, which now brings in taxes, which brings in good jobs, and which brings in cost efficiency in the country. Now, the moment we take you through these 2, you are now ready to consume what we now call the deepening enterprise-based solutions. And this include teaching your own team now on marketing aspects. You bring your marketing manager to our program on marketing. And you yourself as a leader can attend. There is now a program specifically for your employees for customer care, for salesmanship, for delegation. We have got a program for operations, a program for finance. All those different angles to now running your enterprise using the different 5 pillars of enterprise development. We want to move people from informal attempts to investment to a formal approach to running a micro enterprise. That micro enterprise must never remain micro, but it must grow to become a small enterprise. A small enterprise must never remain the same small enterprise for years. It's wrong. It must become medium size. If it has become medium size, it must continue to grow and become a national enterprise. If it has reached the level of a national enterprise, we're still saying there's no limit to the scope of growth of an enterprise. A human being has got a limit to how big you can grow genetically. An enterprise can be in Kenya, can be in Uganda, can be in Rwanda at the same time, provided you taken the right business skills. So we create dynamic businesses that grow from micro to small, small to medium, medium to national, nation to global. And just to illustrate on how far our achievements have been able to really shine out over the last 20 years of our presence, we got a young man that came to our program, the entry product. This young man is in our calendar of 2021 in the month of December. It's called Yasin Magino. Yasin Magino was in his second year when he came to Enterprise Uganda training in Lugogo. After the training, the young man said, "Oh my God, here I am, I thought I was destined for poverty. But I've just learned that with the resources that I have, starting with myself, starting with my own energy, I can actually be able to proceed and create a big enterprise." This young man in our calendar of 2021 now is actually seated here because we want to bring him on one of the national televisions to just show the country that whatever we teach, whatever we stand for as Enterprise Uganda, what we sell is testimony, evidence of a running successful enterprise. The young man started with 500,000 shillings, and today, where is he? This young man today is having an enterprise which is exporting fish. Every day, 3.5 tons in Masaka and in Kampala. In addition to that, the young man has got 16 border borders, 12 mobile money kiosks. He has got 3 taxis. And if you look at his volume of operations, you can never believe this is something being run by a 29-year-old. But here is the message. When he came for our training, the mindset training, we told him, no entrepreneur should wait for anybody to give them resources from outside. Start with what you have, and then any support, any other resources must find you on the way. The young man today has got 3 trucks. One of them is now the banks that approached him and said, we have seen how your account has been going on. You deposit large volumes of money every month. We need to be able to give you some support. So they gave him a loan for an extra lorry. He had 3 lorries. And I also want to again say that beyond what we have been able to achieve in the private sector, some of our own clients have been able to compete globally. In 2010, our client, a owner of a school in Lira, was the world-class #1 award winner of the most inspiring story of a woman entrepreneur. In 2018, again, we fielded another person, Victoria's Schools. She also was #2 in 2018 in a global competition of Women in Business Award being conducted by UNCTAD in Geneva. Before that, we had Nakato of Kinder Care, which also has got 3 branches. Jane Nakato, we also fielded her in, and she also was #2 globally. So what I'm saying here is that the story of Enterprise Uganda is a story of impressive achievement. And because of those achievements, what else has happened? We have brought on board partners like Stanbic Bank, DFCU, Uganda Breweries. We have also brought in MTN. We worked with Sheraton Hotel. All these are people who are saying we want to work with Enterprise Uganda as we continue to either bring SMEs as suppliers or distributors of our solutions. But Sheraton opened their doors to say, please, Enterprise Uganda, we are happy to bring some of the restaurant owners of your clients to come and learn how a world-class restaurant operates. So internships were opened to our own clients. We have had people from the Norwegian Embassy, the Swedish Embassy. We have had World Bank. We have had IFC. We have got the British High Commission. All these are saying, Enterprise Uganda, we can do business with you. We have had the Madivani Group. We have had the Kinyara people. All these are saying, we need to work with Enterprise Uganda on reaching as many SMEs as possible. That can only be because many entities in the private sector cannot succeed without an efficient supply or distribution chain of SMEs. Now, for them to have an efficient distribution or supply chain of SMEs, you need an institution that provides business development services for these people so that they become effective suppliers. So I want to say that there are many things that Enterprise Uganda has been able to illustrate in its last 20 years in this country. One of them is, it is possible to create a billionaire without a billionaire begging for startup money. It is possible to get your SMEs become part of a big store of Nile breweries, Uganda breweries, all these big manufacturers, so long as they have been properly trained. It is possible for your farmers, rural farmers in the setting, upcountry, to become effective suppliers of raw materials to big brands like Mukwano, and we have been able to achieve that. So those are interesting perspectives. And then the other thing about this is that this thing of imagining that banks do not like small and medium-scale entrepreneurs, that statement is not right. The banks are simply saying, your fellows are not in the current form or state bankable. Is there a way somebody can assist them to create, one, a story of a growing enterprise? We want to see the pattern of growth. Two, we want to see whether these people here have got proper records. Three, we want to see whether these people here have established partnerships and networks which are now becoming an interesting comfort for a banker to trust lending to such entities. What are some of the challenges that we might be encountering as an institution? I think the challenges in this particular case are many. The first one is, selling the concept of saying you can start an enterprise on your own and become rich is very difficult in an environment where many people who are respected are telling people that, please, you are poor because of your lack of education. You are poor because your parents died long ago. You are poor because you are located in a very distant location. Our experience as Enterprise Uganda is all those categories of people have come to Enterprise Uganda. They have become successful. Number two, the resources we need to keep on reaching as many people as possible are limited. The kind of products that we have, and for those products to be effective, Enterprise Uganda as an institution has had one principle: recruit, retain, nurture the best talent. There is no way Enterprise Uganda will go to the market and get the best talent from wherever these people are, and then we pay them peanut. So we need to be able to have the resources, the kind of incentives to bring in the team that delivers this kind of solutions effectively. The other point, of course, is that as an institution, as you begin to build up this kind of a product or an institutional approach, the other next thing is that there are many other players who are trying to copy what we do for the sake of trying to reach quick shortcut resource or money. And in the process, they are diluting the kind of approach that we adopt. So there are people who are disrupting the market for the sake of just excitement. The journey of building an entrepreneur must be recognized from this point of view. To move from micro to small, small to medium, medium to national, the minimum period is 7 years. Now, how many financiers, be it national, be it NGOs, be it development partners, appreciate that kind of a story? Many of us believe that the moment you give somebody seeds, you have created an entrepreneur. The moment you give somebody a goat, you have created an entrepreneur. This person needs hand-holding, mentorship, all the way through these different stages of growth, because throughout these stages of growth, there's competition. Because of COVID, our clients are now coming back and saying, Enterprise Uganda, can you come up with interventions that reflect the kind of situation where we are? Some of us have had to completely leave a particular in sector where we are. How do we go about doing that? How do we go about issues to do with, I'd never removed an employee, I'd never dismissed a staff, my employees were good, what do I do? So again, because of COVID, Enterprise Uganda has now had to come up with specific interventions to address issues with resource mobilization, resuscitation of an enterprise, reconfiguration of the mindset of employees so that they begin to know that where you used to be hired for a particular one job, you can combine two. And then to make the owners of enterprises also to appreciate the fact that because of COVID, you've got to start taking some hard decisions. A decision of closing a branch and keeping another one. A decision of saying, you know what, this product now we're removing. We love our customers, but it's no longer cost effective for us. All these are some of the things we have had to respond to make sure that our customers are able to continue and cross this dark period of history. So going forward, government is saying we have done a lot of infrastructure development, infrastructure investments, but the infrastructure is underutilized. We have given people schemes, Emioga, OWC, people are misusing these schemes. Enterprise Uganda come in and create a mindset which tells people that these are your resources, this is your country, this is your life. Can you take advantage of all government investment programs? It is not just only Myoga. The roads, the bridges, the electricity is going to the villages. What are you doing with the electricity? How will we maintain that electricity infrastructure if people are not consuming electricity? So I want to thank government very much for recognizing that after we have done a major infrastructure investment, the benefit of that infrastructure investment will come from a very dynamic private sector. Number two, I want to thank the other partners that have been part of the story of Enterprise Uganda, the United Nations, especially UNDP, the British High Commission, the Norwegian Embassy, the Swedish Embassy. All these are partners that have been so close to us. Uganda Breweries, Nile Breweries. They have been the Mukwano group of enterprises. All these are people that have been very, very useful in getting Enterprise Uganda reach where it has reached. But obviously, this kind of a conversation would not have taken place without the national broadcaster, the UBC, for coming up with this extremely useful story of the program called The Jouney. It brings something very interesting which makes most adults to wake up and say, if it can be done by so and so, why can't I also do it? So what am I saying here? UBC, you have done a great thing to come up with the Jouney program. So my appeal now is, please, if UBC approaches you to narrate your journey, please share it. It's good for this country. Many, many people are convinced about something when they begin to see how the baby steps were started. And then they see the baby steps beginning to become such a big story. Whoever knew how some of the great brands we're talking about, even Enterprise Uganda started? We started with 5 people. Today we're all over the country. So the journey is such a great thing, and please, I encourage everybody, private sector, public institutions, non-government organizations that are making impact in this country. When you are approached by UBC, please make time and offer us the benefit of knowing where you came from, what you are doing, where you are headed to, so that we can all appreciate that things can be done. The journey is such an illustrative program that can make all of us convinced about getting to things that we thought would never succeed. Thank you so much.